Dr. Elizabeth Hafer wants you to get your head on straight. In a world gone sideways, having balance and integrity in all areas of life leads to having confidence that breeds clarity. Clarity is essential to living an authentic life, and all the information shared on the Get Your Head On Straight podcast is designed to inspire you to live your life fulfilled. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to Get Your Head On Straight with Dr. Elizabeth Hafer. Today, I have the opportunity to share a really incredible conversation that I had with my coach, Dr. Barbara Eaton. And it's an interesting way to do an interview for the podcast because I wasn't expecting it to turn out the way that it did, but it's absolutely perfect because it's a glimpse into the way that she gets the people that she coaches to think about their mindset. Right before we started recording, we were talking about a circumstance where I was talking about my relationship with my father and how when I go back to where I'm from, I get distracted. And if he comes to where I live, I always want to work. So we are choosing to meet somewhere in the middle and go to a city that neither of us know anyone so that we can spend time together and not be distracted. And she asked politely, "Can I poke at that a little bit?" And of course I said yes. So I began recording, and the exchange that you hear is her insight into the monkey mind and consciousness and her desire to help people move along the mind consciousness continuum and have a better life. So I hope you enjoy this episode with Dr. Barbara Eaton, and you can find her at drbarbaraeaton.com. She's an amazing chiropractor, amazing coach. And I really think you're going to love this episode listening into what it looks like to learn from her and from the wisdom that she has to offer. Enjoy the show.
I feel like blah, 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 blah. I think yada, yada, yada. I know. So you just said, I feel like when I go see my dad, I get distracted, right? So the question to ask yourself isn't, what is my thinking? The question to ask yourself is, what is the truth about my thinking? So you're here and I feel like I get distracted. So remember that you cannot feel anything you don't first think.
Right.
So what is the truth about your thinking that is leading to, I feel like I get distracted?
I think that I want to see all the other people that live there. And I think that I will be missing out on getting to see the people that I, don't get to see very often. It's like I'm trying to do all the things with the one trip, with the time that I've taken off,
Okay. So
yeah, fear of missing out. That's it.
what will you really be missing out on when you go and spend time with them?
I'll be missing out on time with my dad.
So what do you know about time with your dad?
It's fleeting. It's precious.
There's not much time.
Correct.
So if this is what you know, and this is what you feel, which is more true?
The knowing.
And this is fear of really what other people are going to think of you. Because there's nothing you would do with any of them that would fill your heart like this will.
Correct.
So this is just monkey.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting that, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Is innate intelligence always on? Like, is there always live streaming when it comes to innate intelligence?
Mm-hmm.
Always, right? There's always live streaming happening. Above, down, inside out, right? Here, 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 here. Does it always do things in the right proportion?
I think it does.
Always does things at the right time. It's always on. And does it always have the perfect timing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I'm not going to suddenly develop a scar here for today for a cut I'm going to get next week.
Right.
Likewise, if I get cut next week or today, it's not going to heal next week. It's going to be right on time all the time. And if there's this live streaming, it's always on time. It's always in the right proportion. And it's always accurate. Then what possibly interferes with it doing its job?
Subluxation, disconnection.
Yep. Subluxation, right? The 4 T's.
Thoughts, traumas, toxins.
Technology.
Ah,
And technology, right? Because technology changes neurology.
yes.
So there's still a live stream. It's just it's interfered with, which keeps the human body from being at its optimum potential. And if the human body can't be at its optimum potential, there's a lot on offer that isn't happening. So as a chiropractor, we can easily see and we easily know about this system. And we also know for a practice member that they're invited to turn their back on the way they used to live, which is over here. And really the way they used to live over here is overwhelming. It's overwhelming, like I'm drowning. I'm drowning in ill health. I'm drowning in lack of energy. I'm drowning in my fear that something may be seriously wrong with me. So we turn our back on that, or we show them how, and our care plan, our instructions, give them the opportunity to turn their back on what they used to do and pursue that which they want by overwhelming their goals with action. Still overwhelm, but instead of being under, now we're over. We're overwhelming our goals with action. And you know, I've talked about all-in massive action for a long time. And you know what all-in massive action really is? Consistency. So I don't know if you caught my Facebook Live the other day.
I watched it, yeah.
About one day at a time. And for those who didn't catch it, I invite you to do it. And here's the gist of it, is that are the simple pleasures of living missing from your life? If so, I invite you to adopt the one day at a time approach. Choose an area of your life that you've been trying to excel in. Maybe it's writing content for marketing. Maybe it's sales, talking to new practice members, leaning into your children and relationships. What would constitute an average day of action in that category for you? Like, for instance, spending 45 minutes a day writing. Maybe with sales, it's intentionally speaking to 5 potential new practice members who can come in the way of referrals. Parenting, spending at least 45 minutes before and after school focused exclusively on your children. No cell phones, no other distractions allowed, just focused on them. We'll take those and project into the future. If you did nothing but repeat your average action day 5 days a week for the next 90 days, how much progress do you think you'd make? Well, I figured it out. So if you wrote 45 minutes a day, 5 days a week for the next 90 days, that would be 2,025 minutes of content. You can use that content to powerfully penetrate your market. What about speaking with 5 potential new practice members 5 days a week for 90 days? If only 25% of them, which let me ask you something, you have little kids. If they came home and they're like, mommy, I got 25% on my exam, would that be okay with you? No, because it's like way below average. So I'm not even asking any of you to consider average action. I'm even inviting you to have less than average results, 25%, right? So if only 25% of those potential new practice members that you talk to every day, 5 days a week, which ends up being 100 per month, if only 25% of them invested in your case average, which in America, the average is $2,000, that's $50,000 in your bank account this month. Keep this trend up, and over the course of a year, you're talking to 12,000 potential new practice members with just average action every day.
Mm-hmm.
And only 25% of them actually even do anything. It's $6 million in a year.
Wow.
From average action, consistency. And isn't that, if we go back to this example, isn't that all we're asking our practice members to do in order to turn their back on this and pursue the life that they really want to lead? It's just consistency, 3 times a week for the next 8 weeks, twice a week for 12 weeks after that, once a week for the rest of your life, just consistency. So the thing that interferes with Innate being live stream all the time is the same thing that's keeping you back from your desired life. Knowing.
Yeah.
Because the only thing that interferes with knowing is monkey.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing is innate intelligence. It's always on time, in the right proportion, and accurate. It's just that we have limitations of matter whereby we believe the survival constraint is now us, instead of seeing it's a subluxation pattern. Because you are not a perfectionist or an introvert or an extrovert or afraid or blah, blah, blah. You're none of those things. You are human. And if you're not sure, and if you don't remember human is, go and watch some kids. Watch them as newborns. Watch them as 6 months old, 1 month old, 1 year old, 2, 4. Like an individual, I recently had a conversation with a private coaching client who really struggles asking people for help. It wasn't okay for her to ask for help when she was growing up. Like, she was the oldest of a ton of kids. Both of her parents worked and she was responsible for them. So it wasn't okay for her to ask for help. And when she did, it was met with, just go back to sleep. Like, if she got scared in the night, just go back to sleep. So then she eventually learned, like, it doesn't matter anyway. If I go and ask for help, I'm not going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
So she developed a subluxation pattern that said, don't ask for help, because what is it going to matter anyway? Even though if you go back to look at her at human, when she was 1 month old and she was hungry, what do you think she did?
She cried.
She asked for help. When her diaper was dirty, what did she do?
Asked for help.
Asked for help. When she was cold, what did she do?
Asked for help.
Never worried about what her mom or dad or whoever else is thinking. It's just, I need that pursuit of what I want. And all these other people can help me. I can see they have value, they have value, they have value. Come on in. That is human.
Right. When did you know you wanted to help lead chiropractors into the principles of mind, thought, consciousness?
That question kind of goes back a little bit further than just last year.
Mm-hmm.
So when it occurred to me to open my practice back in 1998, I was super excited to do so, but I didn't know anything about business. Like, I'd never been an associate. I'd never been an independent contractor. I'd never been a CA. I'd never, other than, working in retail and an ice cream joint and a few other jobs like that. I always taught aerobics. I'd never even had a job except those kinds of jobs, right? Like, nothing in like big leadership. So I didn't really know what I was doing. And so I started looking at like, well, you know what, throughout my life, when I wanted a result and I didn't know how to get it, I looked for somebody who did. Like, for instance, I remember when I wanted to learn how to play the cornet. So I told my parents I want to learn how to play the cornet. They're like, well, let's enroll you in band. So I got into band. I learned how to play the cornet. Then it was, I really wanted to improve as a fast pitch softball player. So guess what? I asked my coach, and she would meet me before school, after school, anytime I wanted to in the off season. And we practiced and I got better. So then when I went to become a chiropractor, I did like all of the rest of you. And I enrolled in chiropractic college because they would teach me how to become a chiropractor, right? They knew. So then when it was time to open my practice, and I knew I would be a great chiropractor, but I didn't know how I was going to have people coming into the door, how to set up systems so they would stay, pay, and refer, how I would fund my ideal lifestyle and take care of my family, I asked for help because that's what I had always done. And then when I got the help, I listened. So that habit then led to, I opened my own practice in December of 1998 in a town of 5,000 people at Christmas, cash practice, bring it on. And I went from 0 to 180 office visits a week in 89 days. Shut the front door. Pretty amazing, right? Like here I am in my 20s, killing it. So I kept doing that. And then eventually my coach asked me 6 months later, hey, do you want to coach other chiropractors? And I was like, sure. Once again, I didn't know how to do it. So I asked for help to be a coach. So I continued to be in practice and coach. And then along the journey, ended up getting divorced and being a single mom, and met my now husband in 2009. And we had both gone through some pretty stuff in life. And so we decided, let's just hammer down and let's make up some ground for the stuff we've been through in our past. And that was all really fine and dandy. And then in 2013, I decided to have breast reduction. And after I had that surgery, I did something I had never done before in my life. Instead of asking for help, I decided I would do recovery Barb's way. Didn't work so good.
Interesting.
Didn't actually work well at all. So Innate showed me, I'm the boss and you're going to be flat on your back. So I was forced to really take it easy, or it would have been a bad situation.
Right.
So it's really interesting how in that time, I started telling myself different stories. You see, life had been kind of hard as a single mom. And even when I was married to my ex, I still bore the responsibility of our family financially in a lot of ways. And so when I married my husband now, he could handle those things. And I was like, wow, this being a kept woman thing, it's not really so bad. And I stopped inviting into my life, being in over my head with opportunities, with making a difference and making an impact. And before long, just like subluxation, right? Interference then develops new habits. I had this habit where I was doing all kinds of stuff, but never making a difference or making an impact. I wasn't sitting around the house just eating bonbons. But when my husband would come home and be like, what were you doing all day? I'd be like, oh, what do you mean? I was busy. But guys, I want to tell you, I was doing stuff. I don't have any idea. I'll tell you what I was doing. I was searching the internet for new things to learn, but new things to learn to never put to use. Just getting smarter in my head, but never using that to make a difference and make an impact. Definitely not in over my head, which is our natural state of being. Watch a child. They're always in over their head. And that's what human is. So this is what made me look at things differently. In 2016, so I opened my practice in 98. So now we're 2016. That's a lot of years.
Mm-hmm.
My first full year in practice in 1999, I did $256,000, earned that, $256,000. Wow, that's pretty amazing. At the end of 2016, I humbly got to report on my taxes $46,000. So 17 years into business, and now I'm at $46,000. You don't have to be an accountant to know we got a problem.
Right.
Right? Something has drastically changed. So my friend suggested that I read Grant Cardone's 10X plus one. I'm sorry, just 10X. And his message spoke to me. And the reason it spoke to me is it called me forth again to be in over my head, to be in, purposefully put into my life opportunities that are uncomfortable. So I have to step up and grow. No different than a child who's learning how to walk. They don't know how. They stand up, they don't know what they're doing, they fall down. But they never lose momentum of continuing to try, right? And that's what's human. And that's what I had done my whole life until this, like, take it easy thing. So I got in over my head and I decided to develop the boot camp, the 56-day chiropractic boot camp to double your business. I'd never done a membership program before like that. Yeah, I had been a coach for a long time, but I'd never had a big membership program like that. So I didn't know what to do. What do you think my first inclination was?
Ask for help.
Ask for help. And I did. And I got help setting it up. And now here we are in 2021. And the boot camp has nearly 500 members and paying members, and with a reach across the world. And up until this last year, I had done more transactional coaching. And transactional coaching is you tell me what the problem is that you have, and then we work together and I give you strategies to solve that problem. It's worked well. I have an amazing career from that and lots of testimonials to prove that it works. However, in 2020, when this pandemic hit, there was a restlessness in me that I couldn't understand. I couldn't explain. And I needed a new way of looking at things. And the thing that kept saying to me was, no more secrets. No more secrets. No more secrets about my emotions and my feelings in my relationships. No more secrets in who I am as a coach and as a leader in this world. Just no more secrets. But I didn't really know what that meant. I just knew that Innate kept saying that to me. So I had met a woman named Demi McConkey at the Wealth Factory Soul Purpose. And there was this air about her of just beauty and ease. And I wanted some of that. And so I joined a mastermind that she had and started learning about mind, thought, and consciousness. And it was quite similar to like in 2017, when I read Grant Cardone's 10X, that it spoke to me. This spoke to me, but in a different way. Because here's the deal. Wisdom, which is our knowing, which is innate intelligence, it whispers. It doesn't scream. It's a gentleman. And I have actually what wisdom is. And if it's okay, I think it would be really beneficial for your audience to have me help them distinguish between the idea of how do I know how to make decisions? Like a lot of people, it seems like are really struggle with decision making. And so if it's okay, I want to give you guidelines to ascertain whether you're being led by innate or monkey.
I would love that. And I know everybody listening would be so excited to hear it.
So please understand that I'm interchanging wisdom in this with knowing. And I'm interchanging wisdom also with innate intelligence. So wisdom is ever present and always kind. Remember, we already talked about how wisdom is live stream 100% of the time in the human body, right?
Yes.
So it is in mind as well. Wisdom sometimes whispers, but is always clear. Here's why. The truth is simple, period. The truth is simple, period. Wisdom has an obviousness to it when you hear it, even if it's completely invisible until you do. Like, how many times have you had this inkling and you didn't quite understand it, but you just knew it was right? And then as you continued moving in the direction of your greatest dreams and goals, it became obvious. Did that ever happen to you?
Mm-hmm.
Wisdom often comes disguised as common sense, but in reality is extremely uncommon in usage. And the example I have for this is how many times I hear people say, oh, it's human nature. It's human nature to be afraid. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's not human nature to go up on stage, because all that's happening when you go on stage is typically you're walking up steps. You don't have any fear of walking up steps, right?
No.
We're walking up steps. We're holding a microphone in our hand. Is it scary to hold something in your hand?
No.
Not scary. And you're speaking. We do that every day.
Right.
So the only thing that's scary in there is our thinking, because we live in our thinking, not our reality. So let me prove my point. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
So you're married.
Yep.
Do you and your husband see everything eye to eye?
Probably not. Actually, quite the opposite.
Do you and your staff see everything eye to eye?
No way.
Do you and your practice members see everything eye to eye?
Mm-mm.
Have you ever changed your mind?
Yes.
So if we look at you and your husband in a situation where you don't see eye to eye, you're both in that reality, but you're both living in your thinking. With your practice members, you're both right there in that reality, but you're both living your thinking, not your reality. Same with your children, same with anything. That we live our thinking, we don't live our reality.
Right.
Therefore, our thinking creates our reality, and we live in our thinking.
That makes a lot of sense. I used to say all the time, your perception is your reality. So that's exactly what you're saying.
Right. And we see what we think.
Mm-hmm.
So if I think, and this is actually truly something I do think, that everyone on the planet wants to know me. I think that. I believe that. So guess what I see all the time? Oh my gosh, they want to know me, and they want to know me, and they want to know me, and they want to know me. Mm-hmm. Now, there are other people who, because of experiences, have adopted the thought that no one cares about them. So guess what they see? That person doesn't care, and that person doesn't care, and that person doesn't care, because their thinking created their reality.
100%.
So wisdom always feels truthful, even if it doesn't always feel good. Living outside your comfort zone doesn't always feel good. Like doing new things sometimes cannot feel very good. But remember, can't feel anything we don't first think. And if we look at what is the truth about our thinking, we'll realize we've made it some story that is in opposition to actually what we know. Okay. So you know what is necessary for you to grow, right? To venture out. And so does everyone else. So why is decision-making most difficult most of the time? It's because we get caught up in our whirlwind of thinking that your future well-being is dependent on making the right decision now. Like right now, I have to make the right decision. And that in some way, you should already know how things will turn out. Just stop and consider that for a minute. How are you supposed to know how things will turn out? Do you have a crystal ball? You have never known how things will turn out, and yet you've made millions of choices up until now, right? Correct. Not one time have you made a decision where you knew things were going to turn out. Oh no, Barb, because I had done it before. Okay, that was the past, and all you have today about your past is your thinking. So no, you didn't know how it would turn out. The reality is that you really only know how things will turn out for where you are up until now, but it could instantly change. The decisions you made up until this point got you exactly here. Is here where you want to be? Like if you desire to have a bigger practice or better relationships, more money, whatever, then is here really where you want to be? For most people, no. So if you didn't know something better was available to you, you would not even consider making a new decision. But knowing, wisdom says, Liz, I have so much greater for you on offer. If you'll simply just turn your back on that, which you don't want, and pursue this, I have so much more for you on offer. If your innate didn't know that was possible, it would not nudge you. We already agreed innate is always on time. It's always live streaming. It's always accurate and in the right amount.
Mm-hmm.
It's just we stop listening to the nudges. We stop trusting the nudges. So knowing innate intelligence is always on time. It's always accurate. It prompts and reveals at the perfect time. Knowing wants to reveal to you a bigger reality than the one that you're currently considering, because thinking creates your reality. And if it wasn't the right time to expand, knowing would not nudge you. So your understanding of and applying mind, thought, and consciousness holds the key and the roadmap for living your greatest potential, full of joy, stresslessness, abundance, wealth, harmonious, because that's what wisdom has on offer for you. Not just Liz and not just me.
Mm-hmm.
It's you.
Exactly.
Here's the other cool thing to know is that we're all given the same operating system. It's innate intelligence. And that same operating system is present in every single human being who comes into your practice. And we look for interferences to the flow, the live streaming of innate intelligence. Well, that's what I do as a coach, is that I help you look, see, tell the dirty, rotten, stinking truth, and take responsibility to the interruption of flow. But your operating system, knowing, has so much more on offer for you than you're aware of. And that's the job of expanding your consciousness. So I have this new fascination with Elon Musk because he just kicked Jeff Bezos off the #1 spot. And you know what? He has the same operating system that you and I have. The same one. It's like this phone. I don't really know how to use all the functions of this phone, but every time I learn something new, I'm like, man, that would make my life easier if I had known that 5 years ago. That's our operating system. It has so much on offer for us. And the only thing that keeps us not tapping into it is monkey. So Elon Musk has the same operating system. All of you have the same operating system as I do, the same as Liz. And we're given the same inventory every day. So the playing field is exactly the same. It's 1,440 minutes. What are you going to do with this operating system that some are using to radically change the world? And as a result of making that big of an impact and influence, are billionaires. While you sit and hope for another $100.
Right. So when I hear you say that, the thing that pops up for me is scripture, because everything that you're saying is like so rooted in truth, and God's word is truth, right? So Proverbs 4:7 says that wisdom is the principal thing. And that's exactly what you're talking about.
Solomon, get wisdom.
Amen.
Get wisdom.
God wants us to have it, protect it, seek it, listen to it. And it literally says in like 4 different versions of the Bible that if we do that, we will have life. So me as a chiropractor, you as a coach and a chiropractor, you are removing that subluxation to allow us to have that wisdom be present and for us to have the ability to know it, connected to it.
Yes. And to tap into the wisdom that's already there. You know, scripture also says, like, renew your mind.
Yep.
Which if you look at, so the National Institutes of Health did research, and their research revealed that we have between 12,000 and 60,000 thoughts per day as human beings. And that 80% of them are negative and 98% are recycled from yesterday. So is it any wonder that we have Groundhog Day, most people's lives? Well, what are you putting in here? Like, how are you tapping into your knowing? And if it's just like you're filling it with the news, or you're filling it with like individuals who are negative. So thoughts are mind's energy, right? So how does mind come out? Thoughts are mind's energy. But if what you're putting in there is destructive in nature, then your thoughts are going to be negative. 80% of them are negative. And our thoughts, when we indulge in a thought, it gives our thinking. When then thinking drives our emotions, and our emotions lead to behaviors, either monsters or mansions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not making this stuff up. It's just the way that it is.
Right. It's been a pretty remarkable journey. It's so funny that you say, I think that everybody wants to know me. The first time I actually got to talk to you, I'm sure you don't even remember. It was at the Wave in Life West. And I was there as a delegate for Cal Cairo because I serve on the board, and I was sitting at like the president's table and all the people that I was like moving up into the position and leadership in California. And you walked in and I was like, first of all, I'd never even heard of you up until like 2018 or 2017. And I was like, this lady is so awesome. I just want to go give her a hug. So I walked up and I said, hey, Barb, I'm Liz. I just want to hug you. I saw you and I want to give you a hug. You're like, hey. And then you went to your seat and I went to my seat and that was it. And then fast forward 3 years, I guess, I was on the committee for the Blair Society we plan our conference every year. And I was like, we need to have Barbara Eaton come and talk, do a keynote and teach our CAs because we need to have what she is offering. So we got you on the docket, and then we had our little conference in Florida last year and you came and I brought my whole staff and it was transformative. So I've been working with you professionally since October. I've been excited about you since 2017. And just since that little bit of time in my life, it's already made such a transformative difference in the way that I think, the way that I act, the way that I treat people. And I'm just so excited that it's because it's a simple principle that is the truth, right? Like you said, the truth is simple.
It is simple. Well, thank you so much. I had missed you are the responsibility to Blair. So thank you. I appreciate that. I had such a fun time. And for those of you who are listening, come to Blair in October in Dallas. I got asked to do the CA portion again.
Yep.
And this isn't bragging because it's true. Like your CA spending a day with me in a room will change them from the inside out for sure. So this year I'm going to take it even to the next level. So docs, please come to Blair. And I love Blair too, because it's really about the artistry. Mm-hmm. There's no chiropractor who can deny the importance of the upper cervical spine, right? And yet I think there are very few who have an art form in locating, analyzing, and adjusting upper cervical subluxations, right? Mm-hmm. So when you come to Blair, like they're all about the upper cervical spine, which can radically change your practice members' clinical outcomes.
Absolutely.
And then your CA. So while you're learning that, I've got your CAs all day in a room and it will be extremely powerful. So I'm really excited.
Yes. From a personal like testimony perspective, my 4 staff were there all day with her. And then they were like, if you don't sign up with her, we're going to figure out how to pay for it. I was like, it's a done deal. We're going to be a boot camp member. So much like good has come from that, from a team camaraderie perspective. We have the system to explain things and we're implementing all this stuff. And my practice has it was already great. It's like magnificent now. So I definitely concur. You have to bring your team to Dallas in October for the Blair conference. I have one more question for you, Dr. Barb.
Oh, wait. So I want to just throw some praise your way though.
Oh, okay.
So this is the difference again between transactional coaching and transformational coaching. So oftentimes in transactional coaching, we'll see transactions in our practice change. And commonly, especially to get the uncommon results that you have gotten, if you were in transactional coaching, there's a lot that you would have sacrificed, right? And instead, I see Liz just stepping in more and more and more and more and more to her own greatness. Even being excited about and being able to just gracefully decline what we would all think was an amazing offer.
Right.
And Monkey kept pushing her to like, look again. And when she was able to just like settle in to her knowing, the answer became very, very clear. Like, that's a no for me.
Mm-hmm.
And there wasn't this like drama about it. There wasn't any of this stuff. It was just like, that's a great offer. It's a no. And on like, it's a no, because I'm going here with my husband and my children and what we have going. So I want to acknowledge you for not just learning, but actually executing and stepping more and more into your knowing.
Thank you. And you know what? It's cool to have you recognize that. And it's so true. So thank you for honoring that.
Yeah.
So my final question for you, Doc, what does it look like for you to live your life in alignment?
Just watch me on Facebook. I mean, like, it's ease. It's fun. I described it this way today on a number of private coaching calls. So I love playing softball. And maybe that's not familiar to everybody. So let's use football. So we can have a football field, right? So your football field, think of a football field as your life. And when you're on the field, it's up to you to make plays, right? Like it's up to you to win. And this is your field. So it's your bat, your ball, your game. You get to decide the rules of engagement. You get to decide the boundaries that you have in place. You get to decide how much money you want to earn for the game that you're playing. And then there are these seats around your field called fans. If a fan is sitting right here and boos, does that change your game? No. If a fan is there and cheers, does that really change your game? No, because it's your game. And they can do whatever they want. They're the fan. Mm-hmm. They're not making the plays, you're making the plays. So in the same regard, the naysayer, right? The person who you think is your enemy, the medics, the whoever, the, oh my gosh, I'm not going to do a Facebook Live with somebody because people are going to think I'm a ding dong. Well, here's the cool thing. It's not your game. This is somebody else's game. This field is their thinking. It's not your game. It's not your thinking. You're just a fan observing. So someone gives me a dirty look. Well, let's see. That's their dirty look from their thinking. I'm just a fan observing. Like, that's interesting. I'm not on the field playing. Because that field called somebody else's thinking is theirs. Mm-hmm. So we can just observe other people. So I live by this principle. It's in alignment. And the reason why it's in alignment is because know, think, and feel. I know that mind's energy is thought. When I indulge in a thought, I get my thinking. My thinking drives my emotions, and my emotions produce Mansons or monsters. And I know the life that I want to have. And so I adopt the thinking that's in alignment with that life.
That's rad.
It's really simple because the truth is simple.
Yes, it is. Oh my gosh. Well, thanks so much for being on Get Your Head On Straight with Dr. Elizabeth Hafer.
Thank you, Liz. This was a lot of fun, and I'm super proud of you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So if you are listening and you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please do not hesitate to reach out to me at wellconnectedchiro.com. And of course, if you want to know more about Blair Chiropractic and how to be my patient at Well Connected Chiropractic, please reach out to me, wellconnectedchiro.com. And we'll look forward to talking to you next time.
Thank you for listening to Get Your Head On Straight with Dr. Elizabeth Hafer. Visit wellconnectedchiro.com for more details from the show blog post and to learn what Blair Upper Cervical Chiropractic can do for you. To learn more about Dr. Hafer and her practice, you can find her at Well Connected Chiropractic in Mission Viejo, California by visiting wellconnectedchiro.com for more information.